Breaking tonight, Britain woke up to a silent political storm that had actually begun hours earlier behind the sealed doors of Kensington Palace. A confrontation so unprecedented, senior royal aides privately described it as the gravest constitutional fracture since the abdication crisis of 1936. And at the centre of this historic rupture stood two men, the future king and the man currently running the country, or at least trying to. It was exactly 11:43 a.m. when Prince William, calm but unmistakably resolute, did something no heir to the throne has dared to do in modern history. In a private audience request from the Prime Minister, the Prince of Wales delivered a message that would detonate across Westminster within hours. No, not let's discuss, not even we'll review it through official channels. Just a single definitive refusal that sliced through centuries of monarch government diplomacy. That two-letter word, spoken with royal authority, may now be the opening shot of a constitutional crisis Britain hasn't seen in generations. Sources confirmed the spark came 4 days earlier when Keir Starmer demanded an urgent meeting at Kensington Palace. His letter, later leaked by multiple insiders, contained language that chilled even veteran political advisers. He insisted the monarchy must visibly support his new housing reform bill, a bill that would allow the government to seize underused land, including sections of Crown estate property, for compulsory development. The phrasing was blunt, almost combative. The monarchy must demonstrate its commitment to modern Britain or face questions concerning its continued relevance. For a sitting Prime Minister to write that to a future king is unprecedented. For a future king to refuse him outright is historic. William didn't hesitate. No negotiation, no careful palace wording. Just a single sentence reply delivered through his private secretary and circulated within senior government offices before lunchtime. Those 23 words would soon be dissected by constitutional scholars, political strategists and global media. The Prince of Wales respectfully declines to involve the Crown in active political advocacy, as such involvement would fundamentally undermine constitutional precedent and the monarchy's impartial role. It was a line drawn in stone, and within minutes the shockwaves hit Downing Street. Witnesses say Starmer's rage was volcanic. At 2:17 p.m. he was pacing his office, red-faced, fists clenched, repeating the same line. He thinks he can say no to the elected government of this nation. One minister claims he heard Starmer shout, "Parliament makes kings, not the other way around." Inside number 10, the temperature dropped. Staff exchanged looks they'd never exchanged before. For the first time since he took office, people inside the building whispered the words, "constitutional danger," because William hadn't just rejected a policy, he had rejected a Prime Minister's pressure. And that single act, that single no, has now placed Britain on the brink of a showdown between Crown and State that could reshape the nation's future. Starmer had requested immediate royal endorsement for his controversial housing reform bill, including the government's intention to expropriate parcels of Crown estate land to build affordable housing. Not consultation, not dialogue, not non-binding support. He wanted the future king to publicly back the policy. To the palace, this was not merely inappropriate. It was an existential threat to the monarchy's role. What made matters even more explosive were the precise words Starmer used. According to insiders who reviewed the communication, the Prime Minister wrote, "The monarchy must demonstrate its commitment to addressing modern Britain's housing crisis or face renewed questions regarding its ongoing relevance to the public." To royal advisers, this wasn't a request, it was a warning. To constitutional lawyers, it read like a challenge. To palace historians, it echoed a danger the monarchy hasn't heard since the 1930s. Prince William's immediate refusal wasn't emotional, it was constitutional self-defence. His statement, now making its way through Westminster like a ghostly echo, was carefully crafted but unequivocal. The Prince of Wales respectfully declines to involve the Crown in active political advocacy. This wasn't merely a polite no, it was a reminder, subtle for the public but deafening for government insiders, that the Crown's neutrality is the only thing preventing Britain from descending into US-style political warfare. But the shock inside Downing Street was instantaneous and absolute. Within an hour of receiving William's response, Starmer had shifted from disbelief to fury, to what witnesses described as a combustion point. One aide said his voice kept rising until it sounded like he was shouting into a storm. Another claimed he slammed his fist against the table hard enough to rattle glass. His words allegedly echoed down the corridor. "If William wants to play constitutional games, I'll remind him who runs this country. The Crown exists at Parliament's pleasure." For a Prime Minister to say that in 2025 is seismic. To many inside Number 10, it crossed a line not touched in 3 centuries. Within 3 hours of the meltdown, someone inside the building took a step that transformed a sensitive dispute into a national crisis. The story was leaked to The Guardian. Senior Labour strategists hoped public pressure might force the palace to soften its stance. Instead, it triggered the exact opposite. Public anger erupted, but not at the royals. Starmer had accidentally stepped into the most dangerous political trap in British life, attempting to drag the monarchy into government policy, and Britain reacts very badly to that. What happened next? King Charles breaking 70 years of protocol would push the crisis into territory no one thought possible. Inside Buckingham Palace, tensions have shifted from whispered frustrations to open alarm. What was once dismissed as minor family friction has evolved into a constitutional showdown, with senior advisors openly describing the atmosphere as historic and precarious. King Charles now faces a dilemma: act decisively to protect the monarchy's credibility, or risk allowing events to spiral beyond control. The stakes couldn't be higher. Reports suggest the Sussexes are planning another wave of media appearances, potentially revealing fresh critiques of the monarchy. Each new revelation risks undermining public trust, eroding the Crown's image, and further destabilising the institution. Meanwhile, Parliament begins to murmur. Senior MPs from both parties hint that royal titles should only belong to working members of the monarchy, injecting political urgency into a private palace dilemma. As King Charles consults his closest advisors, questions about constitutional boundaries, public perception, and international ramifications dominate the discussion. Despite the peril, palace insiders say Charles is moving deliberately, weighing every step with unprecedented care. Behind closed doors, he's preparing for a decision that could redefine his reign, a moment where tradition, loyalty, and public trust all hang in the balance. Across Britain, whispers from Buckingham Palace have erupted into a national spectacle. Social media, radio, and television are ablaze with debate over the potential stripping of Harry and Meghan's royal titles. The question gripping the nation is simple yet explosive. Should the Sussexes be formally distanced from the monarchy? Within hours of leaks surfacing, the hashtag #ReStrip the Titles dominates UK trends, garnering millions of interactions. Broadcasters scramble to assemble panels of constitutional experts and royal commentators, while international media frame the situation as a historic rupture between King Charles and his exiled son. The political class reacts with equal intensity. Labour MPs privately warn that the monarchy's credibility is bleeding out, while Conservative backbenchers accuse the government of ignoring behaviour damaging to Britain's global reputation. Public opinion surges. Polls indicate over 70% of Britons support removing the Sussexes' titles, with even stronger backing among younger voters. As tensions mount, the stakes extend beyond the UK. Commonwealth nations express concern that the scandal could overshadow key initiatives and weaken the monarchy's symbolic authority. Inside the palace, silence from Harry and Meghan fuels speculation, a quiet defiance that only heightens the pressure. The nation braces for the king's next move. Any decisive action could redefine the monarchy for generations, while hesitation risks allowing the crisis to escalate into an unprecedented constitutional confrontation. The constitutional crisis that has gripped Britain reaches its peak as tensions inside and outside Buckingham Palace collide. King Charles, long known for his patience and measured approach, now faces a decision that could reshape the monarchy forever. Behind closed doors, palace aides confirm that legal frameworks for stripping Harry and Meghan of their royal titles are being finalised, but every step is weighed against the potential international backlash and domestic unrest. Sources describe the atmosphere as tense, historic, and unlike anything seen since the abdication of Edward VIII. Meanwhile, public reaction has reached fever pitch. Social media is flooded with debates, hashtags like "chant defend the crown" and "I'd strip the titles" trending worldwide. Polls show a remarkable surge of support for decisive action. More than 75% of Britons now favour removing the Sussexes' remaining titles. Younger voters, who once leaned toward progressive reforms, overwhelmingly side with the King, emphasising respect for tradition and constitutional stability. Across cities like London, Manchester and Glasgow, protests and demonstrations erupt. Ordinary citizens, veterans and royal supporters demanding that the monarchy maintain its authority and impartiality. Political pressure intensifies. Some MPs quietly advise caution, fearing the move could deepen divisions in Parliament and the Commonwealth, while others openly call for immediate action to protect the monarchy from further reputational damage. The late Queen Elizabeth's legacy looms large, with palace insiders noting she had grown weary of public attacks against the institution. A reminder that the monarchy has endured centuries of crises, but only when acting decisively. At the heart of the storm, King Charles reportedly holds long discussions with his most trusted advisors, weighing risks against the need for firm leadership. Every scenario is considered a legal battle, international scrutiny, the couple's potential media response, and the symbolic message to future generations. Yet palace insiders say Charles is moving deliberately toward a historic intervention, one that could finally draw a line under years of public controversies surrounding Harry and Meghan. As Britain watches, the stakes could not be higher. A decisive royal move will either stabilise the monarchy for decades to come or ignite a constitutional debate unprecedented in modern times. The nation holds its breath, waiting to see if tradition, authority and public loyalty will triumph, or if this crisis will redefine the royal family forever. If you've made it this far, you're officially part of the sharpest, most switched-on audience on YouTube. If you want more deep-dive royal breakdowns, political shocks and behind-the-curtain revelations the mainstream won't touch, make sure you subscribe, tap the like button and hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment.